Closed captioning provided by Beaufort County.
Welcome to Lowcountry Law on Air. I'm your host, Bob Bromage. I'm the Public Information Officer for the Beaufort County Sheriff's Office. Before we start tonight's program, I'd like to say on behalf of Sheriff P.J. Tanner and the men and women of the Beaufort County Sheriff's Office, we hope you had a great holiday season and Happy New Year. The first thing on tonight's program we'd like to talk about is a recent case of gun violence where 2 women were murdered in Seabrook in December. On December 4th, 2021, there was a large gathering in Seabrook. An altercation ensued at some point during the party. Gunshots rang out. 2 women were shot and killed. 74-year-old Flora Mae Gant of Walterboro and 30-year-old Shayna Mulligan of Beaufort. A person of interest in the shooting was identified, 21-year-old Deontay Mitchell of Seabrook. Investigators made contact with Mitchell. He provided an initial statement. He was not immediately charged. In the weeks that ensued, additional witnesses were located and provided their account of the events. In the interviews that were conducted in the weeks following the initial investigation, investigators developed probable cause to obtain arrest warrants for Deontay Mitchell for 2 counts of murder and 1 count of possession of a weapon during the commission of a violent crime. Investigators sought out to locate Mitchell, but discovered he had fled the area. It is believed he may be out of state. Anyone who has information on the whereabouts of Deontay Mitchell is urged to contact Crime Stoppers of the Lowcountry at 843-554-1111. This kind of event is not unusual in Beaufort County. We've had numerous incidents in recent years that have resulted in gunshot victims and death. It's usually occurring in the rural areas of Beaufort County where large parties are advertised on social media. And at those parties, you're going to get people that you really don't want to be there. They're finding it on social media. They're showing up with guns. They're causing trouble. And all of a sudden, there's murders and there's gunshot victims. So the first guest on tonight's show is Daniel Gourley. He's the General Counsel for the Beaufort County Sheriff's Office. We'll be right back.
Disaster planning consists of 3 simple steps. Make a plan, build a kit, stay informed. Every family should have a plan for how they will communicate during an emergency and where they will meet if separated. Having basic emergency supplies on hand will keep you alive during a disaster. Monitor local radio stations for important information and updates. Visit bcso.net for more information.
Most snakes that we encounter are just like this eastern king snake, beautiful and completely harmless. In fact, most snakes are beneficial and they're good indicators of environmental health. All animals need good quality habitat like this gorgeous forest. Join us for Coastal Kingdom, a field trip through the Lowcountry and a chance to meet some of the animals that live here.
Welcome back. Joining us in the studio is Daniel Gourley, the General Counsel for the Beaufort County Sheriff's Office. Daniel, welcome aboard. Tell us about yourself and your background.
Thank you so much. So I grew up in Bluffton, local to the area, and recently started with the Sheriff's Office down here, but before that I attended the University of South Carolina in Columbia for undergraduate. Following college, I went to Florida Coastal School of Law. Immediately after law school, I started at the South Carolina Attorney General's office, where I was involved in the Post-Conviction Relief Division, handling post-conviction relief applications and appeals.
What exactly is that? What's that entail?
So post-conviction relief essentially involves an individual who has either pled guilty or subsequently been convicted at trial, gone through the appellate process, and then is coming back and claiming that his defense counsel was ineffective for various constitutional reasons. That application is then reviewed in the Court of Common Pleas, determining whether or not defense counsel was ineffective in his representation of this client. I handled that for the Second Circuit and Third Circuit, and then also handled the subsequent appeals of those resolutions of those applications. I then transferred over to Internet Crimes Against Children Division with the AG's office, prosecuted both child pornography cases and criminal sexual conduct with minor cases. Following my time at the Attorney General's office for about 3 or 4 years, I then moved over to the South Carolina Department of Labor Licensing and Regulation, I was in their disciplinary counsel division, where I essentially prosecuted licensees for malpractice, violations of their practice acts. I handled several hundred of those cases.
LLR issues all the licenses for various occupations in South Carolina.
Right, absolutely. So I was responsible for various boards within the LLR division: contractors, residential builders, dentists, psychologists, social workers, so on and so forth.
Real estate agents, and
Absolutely,
so on and so on.
absolutely.
And going back to the internet crimes against children, I mean, we work a lot of those cases here at the Sheriff's Office and, of course, with the South Carolina Attorney General's Office. And some of our viewers might be aware of that through our NICSO advisory system that it's quite frequent.
So absolutely. So the Beaufort County Sheriff's Office is a member of the task force with the Internet Crimes Against Children Division, which allows us to work any tips that the Attorney General's Office received down in our specific Beaufort County area.
Well, it's very involved. So after leaving South Carolina LLR as an attorney there, what was your next move?
Right. So my wife and I actually had a couple kids, and it was time to get closer to home, get closer to grandparents. Mm-hmm. So we decided to move back down to Bluffton. Had the opportunity to work for the 14th Circuit Solicitor's Office, where I prosecuted various crimes from driving under influence first offense up to attempted murders. I worked there for about 2.5 years, and then got the opportunity to come on for the Beaufort County Sheriff's Office.
And as I was discussing earlier with the audience, we have, in rural Beaufort County, we've had numerous parties over the last few years where gun violence has erupted, and either people are shot, their vehicles are shot, people are murdered. And again, we just had one in December, where we've had several more over the past few years.
Right.
And oftentimes, the people that are holding the party or the property owners are advertising on Facebook or other social media outlets to the general public. So what you're going to get is people you may not want at these parties. You're going to have groups in conflict at these parties, and it may lead to altercations and gun violence. And that's become a big deal, and it's become clearly incredibly dangerous.
Certainly. We've seen that rise, especially with the pandemic, having closed down restaurants and bars, the large social gatherings at private residence involving alcohol. And there's certain criminal liabilities and civil liabilities that people need to be aware of when they're taking on these functions. And so specifically, I'd like to break it down into kind of two type of events, if you will.
And these are the people that are responsible for holding the party.
Right.
These are the people that are advertising it. The people that own the land, they may not be advertising. Maybe they've leased the land or rented the land to somebody else.
Right. Absolutely. So those two classes of parties, we're going to have the individual type of party that's actually producing or providing alcohol and is charging for the alcohol, whether charging being a cover charge, asking for donations, a cash bar, and then the events that are not charging for alcohol, and alcohol being beer, wine, or liquor.
Right.
Certainly, if you're going to start charging for alcohol, whether it be the cover charge, donations, or a cash bar, you need to be aware of the licensing requirements or permit requirements for those type of events. I would refer you back to the South Carolina Department of Revenue website specifically for the appropriate forms. That takes about 6 weeks to get, but it would be a violation of the law not to have that permit or license. For beer or wine, it's a temporary permit that can be required. If you're going to provide liquor or charge for liquor, it would be a liquor license that would be required.
And that has to, if you're going to have an event with beer, wine, or liquor, that comes through the Sheriff's Office at that point.
It does. It provides notice to the Sheriff's Office that this event is going to be ongoing, that it'd be something that we'd be made aware of, whether for potential purposes of criminal events that may or may not occur, whether it be noise ordinance, public disorderly conduct. If a call comes out to dispatch, we're made aware of that situation already. It's on our radar, for lack of a better term.
So to be clear about that, advertising on social media is not the proper way to go about it. That's not coming into the office and requesting a permit for this event.
Not at all. You need to go through South Carolina Department of Revenue, acquire the appropriate forms, whether it be the permit for beer or wine or the liquor license. And that does provide the Sheriff's Office with the appropriate notice. Our Sheriff's Office actually has to sign off on that license or permit.
And then we'd be aware of the event to begin with. So
absolutely.
When we respond after a shots fired call or a gunshot victim call, that, you know, and when we see 100 cars piling out, I mean, we're responding for a reason.
Certainly.
To these things, and not being aware that the party is going on, it would be ideal to have that information up front.
Absolutely, and not only that, but even the simpler minor misdemeanor offenses that may arise at these events, whether it be public disorderly conduct or noise ordinance violations, so on and so forth. In addition, the people that are hosting the parties need to be aware of additional criminal offenses that could occur, obviously serving minors who are under the age of 21. That's obviously illegal in the state of South Carolina, and not only that, it does contain certain civil liabilities if that individual who's under 21 continues to drive and injures a third party. In addition to that, open container law. Obviously, it's illegal to have an open container in a vehicle in South Carolina, absent being in a luggage compartment or a trunk.
So to rehash what we've talked about as far as the liabilities associated with these large parties, tell the public what they need to do.
So if you're going to be hosting a social event, whether it be 20 people, 100 people, 200 people, advertising it on Facebook, and you're going to be charging, whether it be a cover charge, requesting donations, or having a cash bar, you need to go to the South Carolina Department of Revenue's website. You need to obtain either a beer or wine permit and or a liquor license permit to be legal. That provides the Sheriff's Office with notice, because we do have to sign off on that permit or license, and that puts us on notice that this party is actually taking place, and when and if a dispatch call comes out, that we're aware of what's going on at that point in time.
Right. So that's very timely information, because again, we've had numerous recent incidents. So Daniel, what are some of your roles at the Sheriff's Office? And I mean, obviously examining this as part of your duties to, look at the law and give an interpretation of what needs to go out to the public, especially with these large parties. But what else is involved in your daily duties? Certainly.
So as I quickly learned, having been at the Sheriff's Office a few months, the Sheriff's Office is responsible for a wide variety of different things outside of just criminal investigations. My role includes contract reviews, civil cases, something as simple as lesson plans for the deputies. I would say 50% of my job now is reviewing criminal investigations, assisting with both our North Side and South Side investigators, who do a wonderful job. But just to provide a different perspective, having gone through the prosecution experience all the way up to the appellate experience, to kind of come in and step in and say, how can we make this case stronger? If there's any avenues that we could pursue that may not be available 6 months from now or a year from now when that case comes up for trial or being reviewed by the solicitor's office for prosecution. So I do feel like I fill that void that could be potentially missing or was missing within the Sheriff's Office to produce a stronger case for prosecution down the line.
Right, and it certainly is your valuable asset as far as a sounding board for these cases, because there's clearly a difference between the threshold for arrest and probable cause and proof beyond a reasonable doubt that's required in court for a conviction.
Right, absolutely. So when we're making arrests, we have a lower threshold of probable cause that's been presented to a magistrate, signed off for an arrest warrant. When it goes to the solicitor's office, the burden of proof at a jury trial or for a guilty plea is beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, beyond a reasonable doubt doesn't mean beyond all doubt. It's just what would make a reasonable person hesitate to act in that situation. What I do believe I'm able to provide to our investigators is that kind of point of view from the prosecution standpoint and from the defense standpoint of what may be picked apart in this case or what may be necessary in this case, whether it be looking at different witnesses or obtaining different surveillance videos or just a different theme or avenue to go down.
You're helping them go that extra mile.
Absolutely.
Well, Daniel, welcome to the Beaufort County Sheriff's Office. We're lucky to have you, and we'll be right back.
Cars all over Beaufort County are being targeted by thieves. We want to remind you not to leave valuables in your car and to keep your doors locked. If you have any information about recent thefts, please contact the Beaufort County Sheriff's Office or Crime Stoppers.
Beaufort County is constantly changing, and we'll keep you informed. The County Channel, your source for what's happening in Beaufort County. From County Council and municipalities, school board, and local events, the County Channel will keep you up to date. For a complete listing of the County Channel schedule, go to BeaufortCountySC.gov, scroll down, and click on Watch Now, and choose your selection. For live coverage of meetings, boards, and commissions, it's the County Channel.
Welcome back. With me in the studio now is Coroner David Ott, Beaufort County Coroner. Was first elected in 2020. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Clearly by the election, a lot of people in Beaufort County are aware of your background and know you, but for those that don't know you, tell us about yourself and your background in law enforcement.
Like you said, my name's David Ott.
I do come from a many years in background of law enforcement. I spent 29 years, started my career out in Macon, Georgia, to get away from my high school buddies and to get more maturity. And then I transferred back and went to work with the Sheriff's Department stationed over Hilton Head for 9.5 years, and transferred from there over to Beaufort City, where I retired. I have many different type of classes that I have taken over the many years that we all offer through law enforcement, which includes everything from death investigation down to juvenile law, child deaths, very, very extensive amount of training. I retired on a Friday and went to work with the coroner's office on a Tuesday because I believe Monday was a holiday.
Right, right.
And the coroner was off. So.
And that was as a deputy coroner?
I was a deputy coroner. I worked under the previous coroner, Edward Allen. I was with him for 12 years. Eventually picked up the rank of chief deputy coroner. He decided he did not want to run again and was going to retire. I was asked to run, and I did, and thank the support of the Beaufort County citizens, I won that election, and that's where I am at today.
Well, congratulations on your election, and you certainly have a busy office and a lot of different operations going on at all times. I mean,
it's a full plate.
Well, let's talk about on January 5th, 2022. We found or were alerted to some possible human skeletal remains off of Delamo Road in a wooded area on St. Helena Island.
That's correct.
When we looked at it, your office responded, the sheriff's office responded, and it was confirmed that they were human remains.
Right.
Now, in 2017, we had a missing person in that area, and a lot of questions have come from the public and the media. Is this Michael Hatfield, our missing person from 2017?
Right.
Well, frankly, it's too early to tell at this point. Can you tell the audience what the process is in identifying skeletal remains?
Right.
And cause of death as well?
Right. Well, when we received a call by the Sheriff's Department, one of our deputies, my chief deputy coroner, responded to it. The collection of the skeleton remains was found. Everything was collected. Matter of fact, the Sheriff's Department went back the next day and was able to locate a couple other little partial bones. These bones was taken up to Charleston County Coroner's Office. They have a, for instance, anthropologist up there, Dr. Abels, and they are turned over to her. She will examine these bones and determine, hopefully, the age, sex by them. Give us a detailed report on it. From there, we will pick the bones back up, and we will bring them down to the Beaufort County Sheriff's Department crime lab, I believe is what it is.
Forensic Services.
Forensic Services, right. And they will then extract DNA. I understand the Sheriff's Department has DNA of the reported missing person. Right. At which time a comparison will be made, and hopefully that will lead to the identification of the skeleton remains that we have.
Right. So in these cases too, the forensic anthropologist, Dr. Abel, will also look at the bones for evidence of injury, correct? And see if there's anything there that may lead her to believe whether this is a murder or it's a natural death or whatever.
Right. Yeah, a lot of times we cannot tell simply by our eyes looking at it what person died from, but the trained professional, as Dr. Abel, she will definitely be able to look at those skeleton remains under a microscope and let us know if he met his cause by some other's hand. If it's a natural death, I don't know if that would be determined. Of course, we would not be able to do an autopsy, but I feel very comfortable Dr. Abel will get the answers that we need.
Right. And finding skeletal remains in Beaufort County in this area, that's not unusual, though. I mean, I can go back over my career, and it's happened quite a few times. So,
well, I actually got another skeleton remains on my desk right now, Bob. I think me and you talked about it the other day, of a missing person on Hilton Head that the Sheriff's Department, FBI got involved in helping us track down possible next of kin. We have made an identification of that individual, and the FBI is now trying to locate the next of kin in Mexico
Right.
before we do a release of who it is. That would be at such time the next of kin is notified. But yes, it's very painstaking for both the coroner's office and especially law enforcement to find a skeletal remains, and basically we just start digging through phone records, through pictures, and you re-examine, you turn every leaf over, and not always do we come up with a next of kin, but we do as the coroner's office and all of the area law enforcement here in Beaufort County. We know it's our job to get it done, and nobody wants to leave human remains unknown.
Right. We appreciate that. I'm sure the public now knows that it's a bit more involved than a guessing game. It's now a forensic anthropologist to DNA analysis at the Forensic Services Laboratory at the Sheriff's Office. So recently, in November of 2021, the Sheriff's Office actually helped you put out a release regarding unclaimed remains that you were going to inter. Can you tell us about that?
Yep. These remains sat on our shelves at the coroner's office. Actually, they have went through probably 5 or 6 offices over the many years, and I believe the earliest one dated back to 1982. We had 68, I think it was, unclaimed remains that was on the shelves. I tasked the coroner's office, including myself, to each take a remains and let's research it. Out of those 68 remains, we was able to return majority of them back to the rightful owners. Wonder what happened to my grandfather. A lot of tears, a lot of happiness. Right. We had 34 unclaimed remains that we found a resting place for them. 4 of those remains was service members that was placed out at the Beaufort National Cemetery. The others was placed in a crypt out at Forest Lawn Cemetery that the county purchased with the help of the county administrator and all his staff. That crypt, by the numbers of averages over the many years, it should last us well into 100 years. Right. Since that date and time, on November the 18th, when we placed those in there, our shelves has already got a couple more on them, which we're not going to open it up and put those 2 in it. We're going to wait, and we will put them in there in a very timely manner.
Unless they're claimed, of course, by family.
Hopefully they will be claimed. One of those I think we do have claimed. And of course, the outcome of what we're working on that we talked earlier with these unclaimed skeletal remains. So it's been a crest of Coroner Ed Allen to have it. And he worked very hard on it, and I took over where he left off and followed in his footsteps, and we was able to locate it. And the research across the nation, a lot of the coroner's offices are going to crypts because it's so much cost effective now, right. And it's still a final resting place. Sure. And if the family should come forward, we can easily go get their family member out.
Right. So the Sheriff's Office certainly appreciates our partnerships with the Coroner's Office, and again, congratulations on your successful election bid in 2020, and look forward to having you back on the show in the near future.
Thank you. Thank you all.
We hope you found this episode of Lowcountry Law on air informative. Until the next episode, please stay healthy and safe. See you next time on the County Channel.
If you have a question or comment, please contact Lowcountry Law on air at lowcountrylaw@bcgov.net.
Cover me and my brother.
Couldn't handle. No one else could ever hold a candle. Get ready for a battle, 'cause you know that I was born for this. I was born for this. Baby, I was born for this. I was born for this. Never met a match I couldn't handle. No one else could ever hold a candle. Get ready for a battle, 'cause you know I was born. I tell you I was born for this. Ain't nothing gonna stop me now.
I'm Sarah Brock, Clerk to Counsel for Beaufort County Council. Did you know Beaufort County has 29 active boards and commissions? These boards and commissions serve a vital role in Beaufort County and allow citizens like you to get involved with local government and advise your council members on a wide range of issues. Members serve in a variety of capacities, from advising council regarding the selling and purchasing of land, hearing appeals, allocating ATAX monies, advocating for specific organizations, working on stormwater-related issues, zoning issues, design review, historical preservation, you name it. Visit www.beaufortcountysc.gov/council/boards and commissions today to see a list of our active boards and commissions and fill out an application. Sign up today so you can have a hand in making our community even greater than it already is.